All right. Good morning, everyone. First of all, I'd just like to thank Josh and the elders for letting me speak about this morning. Very excited. It was a really fun mission trip. I learned a lot. So, well, most of you here, I think, know me. I'm Jaden Gillum. I'm Ann and Aaron's son. So I've come to Windfall all my life, pretty much until going to Ball State, and so it's been a big part of my life and my faith. And so I was just wanting to come and tell a little bit about my trip, and also a little bit about the ministry that I'm a part of at Ball State. And so, yeah. So before I begin, I'd like to kind of tell you how I got the opportunity in the first place to go on this mission trip. So I'm a member of the Ball State Christian Campus House, which is a student organization and a 501c3 nonprofit. So the students there typically call it CCH, or the Campus House, which is what's on my shirt there. The name of the nonprofit is Christian Student Foundation. And every year we go on a mission trip, both the students and the staff. Typically our rotation has been on a yearly basis, like 2 domestic trips and then going on an international trip. So the last couple of years we've gone, we worked with Crossroads Missions and gone to Appalachia in eastern Kentucky and New Orleans. And so I was on our New Orleans trip last year. And so that was more of a service-based one. And so this year, we partnered with Caleb and Don Chrisman with University Church in Delft, Netherlands, and Brian and Joanna Blake. So University Church is a church plant on the campus of Delft University. And it was founded in 2022 by Caleb and Don. And their goal was just to reach students there for Christ. There's not very many Christians in the Netherlands. Caleb kind of describes it as a post-Christian culture. And Christianity is really not looked upon very favorably there. A lot of, mainly I think, due to ignorance, just kind of it. Talking to a lot of the students there, they really just think church is kind of something for older people and not really something that they need. And so our team just came down to Delft to help with the outreach of University Church. And so this trip was a lot different from my last, the New Orleans, which was a lot of work, service-based. This was more of an evangelistic mission trip, which was something that I was really excited to do because when I was younger, that was what I thought of whenever I thought of mission trips was, evangelizing. But so it was pretty cool. Now, before I talk about the Netherlands, I wanted just to give a little bit of information, kind of an advertisement about the ministry at the campus house at Ball State. So CCH is a church for Ball State students, led by students. We're located just off campus, and when I mean just off campus, I mean pretty much on campus. It's right across from both the health professions building and the Doherty complex, which is just a residence hall there. And so our facilities are open from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. every weekend for students to come study, hang out. If they'd like to utilize our kitchen, they're able to. And so we have a free cafe as well. Not just students utilize that. So, if you ever want to see a tour video, there's one online I can show you. But so we have weekly events. So our Sunday worship, it's just typical church, really. We have communion every Sunday, worship service, a sermon by either Mark or Caleb, who are our campus ministers. Sometimes we even have students preach. And then we have our Wednesday night Bible studies at 8 p.m. We have men's and women's groups, small groups that meet throughout the week. And then we do special events throughout the year, such as our fall and winter retreats that we do every year. We have gone to Mahoning Christian Service Camp the last couple of years, which is in Rush County. And another event that I'd like to highlight, which is the shirt I'm wearing here. We do our free Friday night pancakes every Friday, which is something that the campus house at Ball State is really known for. So every Friday during the warmer kind of months, we just serve out free pancakes. Our outreach team does that. And we're located on campus at a really good spot, right in between the village and the bars downtown and Frat Row. So if you're going to get drunk on Friday night, that's where you're going to come through. And so we're just kind of a place where, like I said, we're very well known for this on campus. We have worship music playing, lights, and then just people were flipping pancakes and giving them out for free. It's just one way that, obviously, if you're drinking a lot, getting some food in your body is a good thing. So we're one kind of a safe haven for that. And also just it provides us an opportunity to possibly talk to students, make connections, tell them about the campus house. And so that's something really nice. So that's one thing we're known for, the Pancake Church. We also provide cheap student housing. It is cheap. We have 2 apartments in our building, CCH. It can accommodate 7 students in total. And then we also have a 4-bedroom house that's just right behind the campus house. So, and now what do I mean by student-led? So CSF, which is the nonprofit kind of organization, is headed up by our board of directors. And they're members of supporting Christian churches and Churches of Christ throughout Indiana. They're also made up of CCH alumni. They oversee our staff, so Mark, Caleb, and Kathy. And then with the student organization part, we have like our leadership kind of council, who they kind of represent CCH like on the Ball State level. And so they also lead our various ministries within CCH, the students do, with guidance and oversight from our staff. Mark and Caleb are our campus ministers. They're kind of in a transitioning role where Caleb's starting to take more of a role, and then Kathy is our administrative assistant, women's ministry director, and international ministry director. So at the moment, we have about 16 student leaders. No, I don't know why I have that there. They lead Bible studies is one thing they do as leaders. But some of the positions, so we have just our basic officers that all Ball State student organizations have to have. So our president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer. And then we also have coordinators. So our outreach coordinators, they're the ones that actually run kind of our Friday night free pancakes. They do other things on campus. They often have our scramble light events. And which are, or we call them scramble light encouragers. So we might hand out just free cookies or ice cream or something out there. Tell them a little bit about the campus house if they like. If not, they can just have free food. The scramble light at Ball State is kind of the stoplight where everyone is going every which way to get to class. And so they also do service events and gather volunteers for pancakes and stuff like that. We have our hospitality coordinators. They coordinate our Sunday services. So they gather volunteers to make like communion bread, be greeters, those that are running kind of the cafe service in the morning on Sundays. And they'll also hold sometimes just events for the CCH community. That's kind of what our hospitality ministry is focused on, is kind of catering to the the members and community at CCH. Then we have our tech coordinator, and never mind. They oversee our audio and projection stuff on Sunday mornings and on Wednesdays. So he'll also gather volunteers for that type of stuff. And then we also have ministry positions. These are actually paid positions at the campus house. They are student positions. So they are employed by CSF. And we have a few of those. We have our worship ministry assistants, and so they're pretty much like worship leaders. They lead Sunday and Wednesday services, and they gather volunteers for our worship team and our community leaders. So those are people that do communion meditation, offering intro, announcements, stuff like that. Our men's ministry assistant leads our brotherhood, which is our men's small group, and he also plans men's events. Women's ministry assistant does the same thing, pretty much. They lead our community events and plan women's events, international. The international ministry has been doing this Sunday prayer huddle in the morning. And so at 10:15, people just come and pray together. International students pray in pretty cool ways. They often do it like out loud and like all at once. And so they're very, I guess, what's the word, like, sorry. Yeah, well, but that's something that, they're very passionate about, is kind of what I'm saying, yeah. And then we also have our publicity ministry assistant. And so they promote our student organization, CCH, to the rest of Ball State. They create social media posts and flyers for events, promote those events. And we've recently kind of integrated them with our outreach ministry. Our last ministry assistant kind of felt like the outreach, publicity is kind of like another outreach role, to give a good light and good face to the campus house. And so they've kind of come together there. Now, being just, whatever official leader on the leadership council is not necessary for involvement. Obviously, our ministries rely on willing volunteers. We need volunteers, obviously, to help. Our worship ministry can't do it all by themselves. They have to have vocalists and musicians. And then our tech ministry as well. It's important for people to know just how to run ProPresenter or the board there. And so why kind of is our ministry student-led? Other kind of campus houses I know, kind of the role of leading is more to the staff there, and then students are, just there to learn, have a church. And the reason for that is our mission statement at the Ball State Christian Campus House is welcome, build, send. And that means, we're welcoming Ball State students in to the campus house community, to that church community, and then we want to build them up, kind of one in their faith, but also to become like leaders in the future in their local church. So Ball State or CCH members don't stay after they graduate. We don't encourage that at all. We don't want them to. We want, our last word is send. We want to send them out into the communities, and hopefully we've given them some skills to be able to now be productive members of a local church. And so, my role at the campus house, I'm the student president there. And so that's one reason I wanted to share a little bit about the campus house. Is I'm very passionate about our ministry. It's a home away from home, really, for me. There in Muncie, I'm at the campus house very, very often. So it's a wonderful Christian community for believers of kind of the same age group, college students, which is something that I didn't necessarily have here, just because obviously we're a small town, not many young people. So, so if any of you guys know any students that might be coming to Ball State, just let me know. I'd love to get connected with them and just tell them a little bit about the campus house. So, okay. So now back to my mission trip. So before the trip actually took place, all the team members had kind of a couple responsibilities. One was to raise $2,000 for the trip to cover like flight costs, food that Caleb and Don provided for us throughout the week. And so for that, the students were told to send out support letters. And one reason we always, or the staff always really encourages the members going on the mission trips to write support letters is because that's something that missionaries often have to get used to. Also, just church leaders in general asking for support from people, and so they don't really encourage you to pay out of pocket. I know my first year when I went on the New Orleans trip, I kind of didn't really understand that too much, and so I'm just I'm good. I'll just pay for myself. Now this year, I was kind of like, well, I don't know if I want to spend $2,000. So, so I did do it this year, and I think it is a good reason. I I kind of like that concept, kind of getting used to that thing. And so students began raising funds in November and December. I started in late March, early April. So a little late. My school year is pretty packed, so that was kind of an afterthought. But I finally did it when I'm like, okay, well, I'm about to go in about a month. Go ahead and do it. And I reached my goal in about 3 weeks. So really blessed there. A huge part of that was from here at Windfall. About 63% of my donations came from Windfall, which is just really cool. And in total, I raised $2,955, so almost $1,000 extra. I know my mom kept telling people, no, he's good. Well. And so I was able to use some of the surplus to get a couple things for the mission trip. One pair of boots, and then also a rain jacket. I'd actually end up needing the boots, which was fortunate. The rain jacket, however, was very nice. It didn't rain at all, really, but there, fortunately, which is actually kind of strange. But it was very cold and windy whenever we were riding our bikes, so I'm happy I had a windbreaker because I'm kind of thin and I get cold pretty easily. And so I just want to, first off, thank you all who donated and who just prayed for me for this trip. I really appreciate the support. It was a big help. And because of that surplus, I was also able to make a donation at the end to Caleb and Don Chrisman and University Church and Brian and Joanna of $702. So really good amount there. And another one of the responsibilities we had before we went on the trip was to read this book right here called Tactics by Greg Koukl. I'm sure someone here has probably heard of this book. Greg Koukl is a Christian apologist. He is also the founder of Stand to Reason, which is a Christian apologetics organization. And so this book here is, he kind of just gives tactics, really, not necessarily a strategy, but he talks about how a strategy is kind of the big picture. Tactics are like just little tactics, that you can have in a conversation to share about your Christian faith. So this is a really awesome book. I'm still going through it a little bit, actually. But one of his big premises in the book is just asking questions. If you're in a conversation with like a non-believer, for instance, and they ask you, like a question, right? You might our first reaction really is to automatically just give an explanation, give an automatic defense. But a lot of times that's not really the best course. And that's what Greg kind of talks about. You got to first understand what exactly they're asking, right? You may be hearing something completely different than what they actually mean. So a big thing he talks about in here is just to ask, like, what do you mean by that? Or, how do you come to that conclusion? To really understand what they're saying and, maybe help them understand also what they're saying. Because a lot of times unbelievers don't even really understand exactly what they believe. And so that's another good way. If you just ask questions during conversations like that, you can get them thinking and be like, oh, maybe I don't totally understand what I'm talking about. Maybe I need to look a little bit more into this. And so the reason they had us read this book, this was actually something that Caleb and Don and the staff there, so Brian and Joanna as well, had the members at Ball State read. The reason they had us do that was just to kind of prepare us to talk with the students on Delft, the university campus that we were on. And so now our team, we had 8 members go in total. So Caleb Grimes, who is our coming into our campus minister role, or senior campus minister role, taking that from Mark Pike, who's been doing it for many, many years. He's been associated with the campus house for about 40. And so Caleb is now kind of coming into that role. And so him and then his fiancee, Anna, who just graduated from Ball State, went on the trip, and then 6 students also. And so we're evenly split, male and female, 4 women, 4 men. And so our first day, May 4th, we flew from Indianapolis to Chicago, and then Chicago to Brussels. That last flight was about 8 hours, and so that was fun. Brussels and Belgium, and then after a long customs line, we finally were able to meet with Caleb and Don. You can see them there. That guy right up the front is Caleb. That's also Caleb right behind him, Caleb Grimes. Then his Caleb Chrisman's wife, Dawn, is right back there. There's some of our students, Lydia, Rachel, Clara, me, Josh, Quentin, Anna. And then that right there is Lisa. I don't know her last name. She's a Dutch, or she's Dutch, so it might be something I can't pronounce anyway. But Lisa is a Christian now. But when she actually went to school in the Netherlands, she actually wasn't. She was a pretty kind of belligerent atheist. And so I think she knew both Don and Caleb. But she actually came to college here in the U.S. In Delaware. And she's an athlete and stuff. I think field hockey is what she does. And so it's very interesting, her story. She told, she was telling me and Clara that when we were having Sunday service at the end of the week. But she kind of came to know Christ with some friends that she met over in Delaware at that university. She first kind of heard about the gospel in an ice bath. And there was another guy right next to her. And so later on in her story, she'll mention how in the very end she was baptized in an ice bath, just because that's kind of where it started. But her story is really cool. She kind of had a long way, just like, she had just kind of a lot of questions, like about, she was just amazed that that Christians didn't do certain things, that she was like, what? Like, you guys don't do this? Like, and so, but she learned kind of about Christianity. I think she read, what was it? I think she called it Letters from a Skeptic. It was a book. I don't know exactly who that's by, but it seems like a well-known book, but, skeptic coming kind of into the faith. So that was her journey. It was a really cool story listening to her. So once we got through customs and met with Don and Caleb, we drove about 2 hours to Delft from Belgium into the Netherlands. So we don't need a passport or anything like that to go into the Netherlands with the EU. You just drive right in. And so for our housing, the men stayed with the Blakes, so Brian and Joanna Blake. And there are other missionaries. They're also from the U.S., like Don and Caleb are. They're a younger couple. Joanna, probably in a few days, is actually about to give birth again to they don't actually know. They'll figure that out when it comes. And so, the men stayed with them. They were really great hosts. And then the women stayed at the Chrismans. And so the first day we kind of had a bike refresher because in the Netherlands we ride bikes pretty much everywhere, especially in the city. Cycling is a huge mode of transport over there. About 97% of all trips in the Netherlands are by bike, and so they have a very comprehensive cycling and biking infrastructure. Which is pretty neat. So there's roads specifically for bikes, that flow in and out of roads with bikes and cars. There's stoplights for bikes. You'll see a lot more bikes there than you do cars. That's for sure. And so that was kind of a cool experience. That's something we did every single day there. We only rode in a car when we were coming in from the airport and when we were going to the airport back in Belgium. And then we also took a train one day into Dordrecht just to kind of look around that city. And so the men had the opportunity to ride every single morning to the Chrismans, about 8 a.m., a 10, 15-minute bike ride. And so that is where that rain jacket really came in handy because it was chilly. And both of my bikes, had some problems. So they were not shifting to the high gears, and so I was always trailing behind. And then my second one only had one gear, so it was kind of a pain getting up hills, but once I got going, I was fine. I just had to really work the legs. So, but yeah, and so the Christmas house was kind of our home base throughout the week whenever we weren't on campus. And so, we would just go there, eat, hang out, do our talk about our tactics book. We were also listening to the video lesson that Greg Kokel releases on this book, and we would do that right before we went out on campus to go outreach each day. Also in the morning, we would always go out to a location on campus and pray for about 15 minutes as a group, individually, and then we'd have our devotionals. So we got to go into any of the academic buildings, sit outside, and just do our devotionals over there. And so the first morning we went to the library on Delft, which is on the TU Delft campus. It's a really cool library. It's built underground, so the roof is like a green area. There's a bunch of students that always sit out there for lunch and each day when they have their lunch, but the library is built underground, and they have kind of this cone that goes up from the thing. If anyone's interested in pictures, I can show you a picture. It's pretty neat. But yeah, and so every day our campus outreach would be during their campus lunch period, and so the entire campus, which is about 18,000 students, had their lunch at the exact same time, from 12:30 to 1:30. So it was a great time then. It allowed us to always kind of do our outreach at the same time. While people are eating, we can go up to students, talk to them. Dutch students, especially those on TU Delft, since it's a research school, are pretty used to having people come up to them and do surveys. They'll always ask, what is this for? They're also very blunt. Don't necessarily. That's kind of funny. Caleb Chrisman, he uses a lot of sarcasm with his Dutch students, and he's like, yeah, they don't understand at all. They think I'm being serious, and so he kind of messes with them a little bit like that. But yeah, it is a lot different, the culture there. It's not really necessarily frowned upon to go up and talk about stuff maybe politics or faith or something like that. Though there's not very many people in the Netherlands that really practice their faith. They're totally fine to talk about it. And so that was something that definitely was nerve-wracking a little bit, just to go up to students. We were in pairs, of course, but to go up to just random students, groups of students, and talk to them a little bit. And not everyone was super receptive. Some would say no. We never had anyone that was super rude or anything like that. And so we would do that each day. So the second day that we were there, after we got to Belgium and kind of settled in, we went ahead and started our spiritual surveys. And so this is something, the spiritual surveys, that Caleb and Don have done for the past 3 years now. So it's an opportunity to have conversations with students. They might ask, okay, why are you asking this? Stuff like that, and we can maybe explain a little bit. They might ask us questions like, well, what are you? It also provides data and statistics for Caleb. He has been doing this survey, like I said, for about 3 years, and he has kind of all the data from that. And we also provide at the end of the survey kind of an opportunity to follow up, talk with Caleb and Don. The student has an opportunity to get connected with them if they have any questions about faith or something like that. So there's not a whole lot of students in our survey that took that option, but that is an option that they provide, and there's many students that have taken in the past. And so I'll give you guys a little bit of statistics for this survey. So we had 72 responses. So we went out in pairs on the campus and went around, and so we had 72 responses. 31 of the respondents, of the students there, said that they were either atheist or agnostic. 21 that didn't claim atheist or agnostic either claimed none of our list, and we had Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Sikh, other. They said none. only 8 of the 72 respondents either picked Christian or Catholic. And then only 5 of them, 5 of those 8 regularly practiced their faith. And of those 5 that regularly practiced, only 2 of them were actually Dutch students. The rest were international. And then those 2 practicing were both Catholic. And so that was something, they had been telling us kind of all week, like, yeah, it's, you're not going to meet very many Christians, And so that was a very interesting experience. That evening, on the second day, we had the opportunity to have dinner with CSR. They're actually a fraternity kind of on Delft of Dutch students, and these are Christian Dutch students. And so they do exist. They're just not very many. And so we got the opportunity to have lunch with them at the Christmas house. The Christmans were providing a evangelism workshop for them. And so they were kind of, I think, also going through the tactics book. And so so that was really neat to have dinner with them, just talk to them. And we got the opportunity to practice sharing like our testimony, our faith with each other, and then we kind of we would get in groups of 2 and kind of each swap roles. Like we were either the unbeliever and then the believer, and then they give us a prompt, like, and then we just kind of have to act out our part, right? Kind of practice a little bit, like what we might say, like in that scenario. So that was a fun night. We got to share stories, play games. A couple of the students I talked to, their names were David and Jasper. I talked to, they're fun to talk to. Jasper, he was actually an atheist for a long time, and then but he was a seeker, and so he was, he was kind of the mindset like, what is the point in life, if there's nothing afterwards, and so he kind of looked into it and into Christianity, and he was telling me he just there are just too many things that was like, okay, this is just this is too many times to be a coincidence, and so he eventually came to Christ, and so he's actually going to be going into theology at a university in Amsterdam that's run by, or that has the affiliation of one of the primary kind of historical Protestant denominations in the Netherlands. So it was neat to be able to talk to all of them and kind of practice a little bit evangelism and kind of having those conversations. The next day, this is day 3, we went out and we provided coffee and cookies free to the campus there. And so that was kind of a fun experience. It felt a little bit like doing Friday night pancakes at CCH. One of the members that came, our men's ministry assistant, he was very bold. He'd go right up to students and he'd just ask them a question. He's like, hey, do you know what's better than a cookie? And they're like, what? He's like, a free cookie. It's right over there. And so that's something that we kind of say a lot of times during our Friday night pancakes. During that night, we have kind of a mic, and we'll just shout out one of our old outreach coordinators, Colin, would always say, do you know what's better than a pancake? A free pancake. And so that was fun there. Never mind. I found it. So yeah, and that was really cool. The Dutch students there that came up, we had signs. We were kind of all over the place, like saying, "Hey, free cookies right over there." They're like, "What's the catch?" Type thing. Usually they're like, "Okay, what do you want me to fill out? What do I need to sign?" Something like that. But we're like, "No catch." And it's just an opportunity for us, maybe, in that conversation to tell a little bit about who we are and like strike up conversation, which does happen often. There are a couple people, they weren't actually students, but they were working some, I think, plumbing or something on some utilities workers on the campus, and the entire like hour and a half that we were there, they talked about kind of what we were about and just had conversations. And so that was really cool. One of the professors there, he was kind of asking, he was just super shocked. He's like, it's just free. There's no catch or anything. He's like, wow. And he was telling us, he's like, we need more of this, like at the campus, like, this kind of kindness and just like free type of stuff there. And so he was very shocked and just kind of in awe about that. Later that evening, we had a Bible study with University Church. Caleb, Don, Brian, and Joanna's ministry, we were able to kind of meet them, have a Bible study with them. A lot of them are actually non-believers that come to Bible study. They're just interested. One of them is actually a practicing Muslim, and he has come often. They know him really well, good friends. He's a really nice guy. Don and Caleb were like, yeah, we're close. Like we're getting to him, and so he keeps coming back, hearing a lot of the stuff, and he seems very interested, which is really interesting. And so the study was over the Great Commission. We also watched a couple of just short videos by William Lane Craig, just some talking about some of the evidences for the resurrection and stuff like that. Interestingly, that video that we watched was one of the very first ones that I had ever watched when I started getting big into apologetics. So that was kind of cool just to see that video again. I'm like, whoa, I love this video. And so it was just cool, again, to hang out with the Dutch students and talk to Christians there. And so day 4, we had the opportunity to partner with Student Life. And so I don't know exactly kind of what they are, if they are like a student association there on campus. But there are a group of Christians. It's a couple. It is a couple. I think he's from Turkey. He kind of heads it up, but he is very passionate about evangelism and just connecting with students and telling them about Jesus. And so that was really cool. We paired up with a Dutch Christian that was part of that. My partner, his name is Paul, nice guy. And we just went out during the lunch period and got to talk to students. And so me and Paul, we talked to, his name was Koan. It's Koan. He was a really nice guy, very soft-spoken, but he was like, yeah, what are you guys doing this for? And we're just giving our kind of vocal survey. He was like, and we're like, yeah, this is kind of, we're just talking about faith and spirituality. Wanted to ask you a few questions. He's like, yeah, sure. And so, he didn't really believe in anything. He was a really nice, sweet guy. He was really liked reading, big book reader. Something I thought was very interesting, with the interaction is, we were kind of asking him, so, what is it kind of about faith that you're not really like super impressed about? He's like, well, I'm a physics major, or that's his program at Delft. And so he's like, in physics, like everything's just like set in stone, like it's yes or no, right or wrong type thing. And he's like, and I just like that, something I can touch and hold on. And so, I asked him a question, kind of took the tactics a little bit. I said, so in like physics is like, is there no controversy? Everyone just kind of know. And he's like, oh no, there's a ton of controversy. Everything's debated. I'm like, oh, okay. That's kind of interesting, and I didn't press any further into that, but, it's just kind of something that, you're able to kind of press into, because, if he really thinks about it, that's kind of a contradiction that he just said, he says something's set in stone, and yet there's so much controversy there. But he's a really nice guy. He enjoyed reading, and so we recommended, I had kind of asked him, a little bit if he'd ever read the Bible, and so he's like, no, what's a good gospel to read? So we gave him that. We then, Ball State students did that on our own the very next day. And then day 6 and 7, 6 was just kind of our cultural day, so we got to go out, take some church tours, which is neat. We had Dutch pancakes, which are like a big crepe. Really quickly, an interesting connection with Caleb Chrisman. He actually knows of Windfall. He's come here before. He knows Dave Legg. I guess he's friends with him. He went to Johnson, Caleb did, and so they would go down, I guess, to Johnson every year for commencement stuff. And so he actually worked and trained with the Priors in Papua New Guinea as well. And so then he planted the church in the Netherlands. And then Sunday, we had our Sunday service. We can see it there. We actually had find a new room. That was an answered prayer that we were able to find this room. The typical room that they have was booked. We actually had one of our students, Quentin, our men's ministry assistant, preach. So that was neat. So it was an awesome experience. I would love to do it again. I was actually just talking to Blake the other night at like 3 a.m. It's like 7 o'clock his time. But, just about some stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I'd love to come back at some point. He's like, yeah, we'd love to have you. So, So these are the staff. Over there is Caleb and Don Chrisman. And over here is Brian and Joanna Blake. And so Brian and Joanna were really gracious in providing their house for us to stay in, their campus ministry, campus missionaries with the Blakes there with University Church. I had a Q&A session, but we probably have no time for that. So, but if you guys are interested at all in or have any questions for me about kind of their ministry, if you have any questions of how to maybe get in contact with them as well, you can talk to me. If you have any questions about the Christian Campus House, that's another thing you can talk to me about. So, yeah. Really quickly, I guess, before we go, I'll go ahead and pray us out. So, dear Lord, thank you for this morning. Thank you for allowing me to just talk to people here at Windfall today just about my mission trip. I just want to lift up the ministry that Caleb, Don, Brian, and Joanna have over in Delft. Just bless that ministry. I pray that the work we were able to do, the conversations we had with the students over in the Netherlands, hopefully just sparked some interest in them, put a little stone in their shoe, just to get them thinking. I pray that you bless this church service, that you bless Josh with the message we hear later today and this worship. In your holy and precious name I pray. Amen. Thank you.